Howdy y'all, you got the Bulldog on the channel. This here is a problem that literally every shop deals with. Most mechanics that are worth anything already know this. People that are getting into it might not understand because it takes experience to figure it out, because it just doesn't make any sense until it happens to you. And it still don't make any sense, but that's, something that you just have to deal with. It's just the way things are. It shouldn't be, but it's the way things are. Independents usually figure this out a lot quicker because we use various different brands. Dealerships, they usually use their brand, but Toyota doesn't make plug wires. They farm it out. Chevrolet doesn't make spark plugs. They buy from outside vendors. So they still deal with this. It's just not as pronounced. And yes, dealerships do buy stuff from aftermarket places on a regular basis. Now, how do they work on anything that's not their brand? But what we got here is a 97 Toyota Camry. Now this is the one that rusted out the struts in the back and had the ABS sensor shot. He got it back and it wasn't 2 weeks and the darn thing started missing. Now he was wondering about a tune-up because he has 3 of these cars. They're all almost identical, just different colors. Mechanically, they're identical. So they run together. We looked in our records and because he's thinking, I remember doing a tune-up just not too long ago. Well, let's see. And I looked up in the records and yeah, that was a few years ago. Oh, so we'll look at that. Well, I checked the voltage on the wires and number 2 was not good. So I pulled number 2 wire and yeah, it got exciting. This is what I'm talking about right here. The spark started jumping out of the top of the boot. Now, these wires, we put them on new when we did the tune-up. Supposedly a good brand, supposedly high quality. This is not the first time we've seen this. Now the plugs should be okay, but we're gonna replace them because we're here. There's a spot on the side of that where it's been jumping out, so, oh no, that's grease. Okay. They're slightly worn. Just because we're here, we're doing it. It's only got 4 plugs. Get it done. Make it good. Everything's out of warranty, but they should have lasted longer. The wires should have lasted twice as long as what they did. That's part of the reason why we always replace them. They wear out. And here is the point of the video. When the parts store drops a brand, you use their new brand, how many years is it before you find out whether it's good or not? Let's say you do 2 or 3 tune-ups a week. That's 150 sets of wires a year. And if it takes you 2 years to find out that they don't last like they should, because, not everybody runs 100,000 miles a year. If it takes you that long to find out that they don't last, that's a lot of angry customers. You end up with a slew of comebacks. Yes, it makes it out of warranty. Yes, it makes everybody angry. It makes us angry for dealing with it, makes the customer angry for having to do it again when they shouldn't. we've run into this repeatedly. And parts stores, all of them, they change their vendors on a fairly regular basis. Sometimes it's not them doing it, it's the actual company they're buying it from. Company A buys out Company B, and then they start putting Company B products in Company A box. Well, you didn't buy Company B because Company B was junk and you knew it was junk, but you didn't know that they merged or sold each other or anything like that. And that stuff is constantly happening behind the scenes. It is an issue that we regularly deal with. Even name brand stuff. There might only be 2 or 3 manufacturers that actually manufacture the part, but there's a dozen different names, because you'll have this company that makes a good product, they got a good reputation, but they don't have the profit margin because they're making a better product. It costs them more to make it, and then they're trying to compete with the cheaper product. So their bargaining power is just not there. And eventually, the company has to change hands or something like that. And then the El Cheapo company that has a bigger profit margin because their parts are made cheaply has the leverage to buy out the quality company. They want the quality company because quality reputation. Once they buy the quality company, they start selling their parts in the quality company box because they own it. They have the right to do so. And then the reputation soils. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on this, because this is an issue I have seen since I started in the business. It wasn't but a couple of years after I started. I started here 26 years ago. We had a name that sounded really good, and we started putting in their fuel pumps, and we found out in about 6 months we started having failures, and we would warranty it. Take care of it, warranty the part because it had this much warranty on it, no problem. And then just kept coming and kept coming. A year after we first started installing this part, we knew that they were junk. So, because now we were doing them a second time on all different makes and models. So we were having them swap it out and then buying a different brand at our own expense and exchanging parts and dealing with all this stuff. This is why parts have a markup, to try to deal with all this stuff. We were dealing with it so that the customer didn't have to. It took us 2 years to get out from under all those parts. And then the company rep came by about 6 months later and said, hey, we've changed this, changed that. No. We contacted them when we were having the problems. They told us that, well, our failure rate is this much. It's like, no, it is not 15%. It is 100%. Well, it's 15% in this area, but it's 5% in the rest of the country. It's your fuel that's doing it. I said, some of them didn't make it out the door. They didn't have a chance to run bad fuel through them. They didn't want to take care of them. We had to eat them all. So, no, there is no way we're putting your pumps in another vehicle, ever. We found out a couple years later, another company had bought them out and started putting their product in the other box. That's why we've been really leery about things since then, because that happens with fuel pumps, alternators, starters, even batteries. There's only 2 battery manufacturers. Look it up. I believe, it was Johnson Controls, and then they were bought out by another company now. and the other one's East Bend, I believe. But yeah, they just make every battery just to different specifications. So this is from our side, and for all the customers out there, try to bear with us. Even though we do it all day, every day, we still don't know what parts to buy because the brands are constantly changing, and there's no way for us to know what we're actually getting. We try, we ask questions. Half the time, the reps for the store don't even know where they come from because it's changing that quickly. They know generally about every 6 months things change. How do you have a long-term relationship with a brand if it changes in 6 months? But it's the nature of the business. Like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to you later.